Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, the Lexington Police Department joins larger cities with a plan to add body cameras for its officers. Also, we'll get into why tensions were so high at this week's school board meeting.
I do not get to decide how other parents raise their children, and they do not get to decide how I raise mine.
A new restaurant is coming to downtown Lexington. See which familiar faces in the local hospitality industry are building a new place from scratch.
A centering pass to Boucher, twirls, shoots, goal!
VMI's women's soccer celebrates a big win over its main rival. We'll show you why it's a landmark victory.
Finally, Caroline Shemp will give you her forecast for the week ahead. All that and more coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Erica Kenny.
And I'm John Bickman Youngblood. Lexington police officers will soon have body-worn cameras. Police Chief Angela Green hopes this measure will increase trust and transparency within the community. The cameras will cost the city just under $200,000. Head over to the Rockbridge Report's website to read the piece by Fraley Williams.
Tens of thousands of United Healthcare workers are taking to the streets in the largest healthcare strike in U.S. history. The demonstration could affect patients seeking medical treatment. CNN's Brian Todd is covering the strike and its potential impact.
We don't get it!
Shut it down!
Striking employees of Kaiser Permanente walk the picket lines in Springfield, Virginia. Starting today, more than 75,000 unionized employees of Kaiser have walked off the job, making it the largest healthcare workers' strike in U.S. history.
We feel like overworked, stretched thin, rushing.
Workers say they have been hard-pressed since the crushing COVID pandemic.
They're working 14, 16 hours, so they're tired.
Why are we here?
Their demands? Improved staffing levels and better pay and benefits.
We want wages that keep up with the cost of living.
Kaiser says it has offered a wage bump and a plan to staff up, but no deal yet. Kaiser Permanente serves 12.7 million people in the U.S. The company says some patients could see non-emergency and elective services affected.
They may have trouble getting a prescription. They may have trouble getting access to health care. They may have appointments that are going to be canceled. They may have to reschedule those appointments.
Kaiser workers are not the only ones on strike right now. The United Auto Workers are in their third week of strikes against Ford, GM, and Stellantis, which makes vehicles under the Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge brands. A work stoppage that has slowly grown to 25,000 workers at dozens of locations. Their demands? Higher wages, better benefits, better job security. The automakers saying they have already made generous offers, including a wage increase of 10% to start, reaching 20% by year 4.
Companies and organizations are really struggling to get enough workers these days. So workers have the power now. They can leave, they can quit, they can go on strike, they can ask for better benefits, they can ask for a working wage.
And while the writers' strike in Hollywood has been resolved, with them getting significant advances and late-night talk shows resuming, the standoff between the Actors Union and the Hollywood studios continues, so the production of new shows and movies is at a standstill. Are all these strikes hurting the economy?
They're not helping, but they're not damaging to a huge extent. The US economy is truly huge. What would be damaging in a bigger sense would be the longer the strikes go on and the more there are of them.
The House of Representatives voted on Tuesday to remove Kevin McCarthy from his position as House Speaker. Many representatives have strong opinions on the matter and what it means for the U.S. going forward.
I think it makes the House Republican rebels look foolish. They look unserious. I think they look like they're more interested in fighting than governing.
Mr. Gates is only doing this for himself, and I believe that he should be looked at for an expulsion. I have not made up my mind on if I would vote to expel him. This guy doesn't have his ducks in a row, and that's what you see with people who lie. They can never keep their story straight. And that's what Matt is doing right now. He's going to continue to lie.
What do you think of the chances of your party retaining control of the House next year, given all this disarray?
I think it's going to be incredibly tough.
Lexington City Schools banned 2 books in the past 3 weeks. Its superintendent proposed a new policy about sexually explicit learning material. It didn't stop parents from arguing with each other and shouting at the school board at its latest meeting. Luke Fountain was there.
Tempers flared Tuesday night as parents argued over who controlled what kids could read.
I do not get to decide how other parents raise their children, and they do not get to decide how I raise mine. Books should not have to be banned. They should never have been chosen for this library in the first place.
At the meeting, Superintendent Rebecca Walters unveiled a lengthy new policy which outlines new parental oversight measures and a formal process for reviewing and removing books. Lexington City Schools have never had such a policy.
Our administrators have to make decisions for our schools based on what is in the best interests of students, what is safest for students, what is most appropriate for students or staff.
However, the proposal has yet to be adopted. It will be voted on at the next school board meeting in November. Action on book banning comes after Lizzie Brayman sent a letter to the school board in early September calling the book Kiss No. 8 anti-Christian and threatened to resign from the elementary school if it wasn't removed. Lexington City Schools banned the books Kiss No. 8 and It's Perfectly Normal for being sexually explicit. Even though Brayman got her way, she isn't done yet.
However, this book is only one. I hope the school will continue this newfound process of literature review.
That's bad news for the middle school librarian, whose wife spoke on her behalf. The family has been harassed by angry parents.
These community members allege that my wife is indoctrinating students and call for her to be charged as a pedophile, groomer, and sex offender.
Still, the superintendent is confident that the new policy she put forward will work and will bring the community together.
Other policy updates, I think, will just allow us to have a clearer path forward when we do have issues that come up in terms of concerns with materials in our schools.
The school board plans to hear more public input before voting on the new sexually explicit content policy at the school board's next meeting on November 7th. With the Rockbridge Report, I'm Luke Fountain.
Liberty University is in hot water after failing to warn students and faculty about safety threats on campus. Liberty, which markets itself as having one of the nation's safest campuses, violated the U.S. Education Department Clery Act, which requires federally funded colleges to produce an annual security report to its campus community. The private Christian university is currently under federal investigation and says it is working with the Education Department to meet its safety standards.
UniVista will soon renovate its wastewater treatment plant after delaying the project for nearly 20 years. A $5 million federal loan will help the city refinance older debts left behind from previous water system upgrades. Engineer Hunter Young says the new plant will meet stricter state environmental standards. For more information, check out LML Next Story on our website. New video captures a large group of migrants rushing the U.S.-Mexico border. As it comes as many continue to arrive outside El Paso, Texas, despite increased security. Jonathan Mejia reports.
Caught on camera the moment migrants made a run to the border. You can hear people cheering, whistling, and celebrating that they can see their end goal in sight, El Paso. You can hear migrants chanting, "We are united," and one migrant telling the cameras, quote, "We're not doing anything to you," end quote. Francisco Guarduño is the migration delegate on the Mexican side of the border, and he says migrants making their way to the southern border will always be an issue if the United States continue to allow their open border policy.
As long as the United States continues to open the doors of its border and exceptionally allow passage to some groups, families, minors, vulnerable people, it is a call for more migrants to come.
Over the last couple of weeks, migrants have been riding on top of freight trains from central to northern Mexico as they make their way to the southern border. Migrants riding the train says it's a dangerous trek.
Sí, nos pasó un problema con un familiar que veníamos, tuvo un accidente en el tren, un poco fuerte, casi pierde la vida, pero ya, gloria a Dios, lo están atendiendo. En el tren.
It's hard, but thank God we're here, and for everyone else that's making their way, I wish them all the best. May God bless them.
President Biden waived federal laws today to allow construction of a new section of the border wall near El Paso.
After the break, we'll go live to reporter Jenny Helwig outside a new Lexington restaurant, finishing construction and opening within the next month or two.
Hi, my name is Caroline Shimp. It is a beautiful sunny day in Lexington. The leaves are finally falling. Up next, I'll give you the 5-day forecast.
Also coming up after the break, the Lexington Police Department is now fully staffed, and officials credit recent pay raises.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. With early voting underway, some Virginians have run into an issue preventing them from casting their ballots. Governor Glenn Youngkin's administration says it is working to fix an error that misclassifies probation violations as felonies. The problem has led to an unknown number of eligible Virginians being removed from the voter rolls in Virginia. A felony conviction strips a person of their right to vote. State election officials are working with Virginia State Police to identify voters impacted by the error before beginning the process of reinstating them.
The community of Decatur, Alabama is demanding justice. Protesters were out Tuesday calling for action after the death of Stephen Perkins. He was shot and killed by a police officer last week. But protesters say the department's story isn't adding up. Megan Plotko reports.
Protesters gathered along Highway 72 in Decatur earlier afternoon, calling for justice for Stephen Perkins.
Justice for Steve Perkins! Justice for Steve Perkins!
Perkins was shot and killed by Decatur police on Friday. Department representatives say he pointed a gun at officers. That's why they opened fire. Protesters say they saw security footage from a neighbor that shows the police department story isn't lining up.
When he recognized it was the police, they were already shooting. There was no time to do anything but get shot because they were shooting as they announced the police.
He was startled and he was surprised.
Right now, one officer is on administrative leave. Protesters say all the officers who were at the scene should be put on leave and investigated. They also want body camera footage of the shooting to be released. Decatur's chief of police says that's not legal while state troopers are investigating. Now, protesters say they want new laws around body camera footage.
This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. We want the body cam footage to become a law so it can be released to the public when we have these situations.
They should not be allowed to turn it off at all.
Yeah.
If you have nothing to hide, why are you turning it off?
Exactly.
Protesters say they hope their demonstration caught the attention of Governor Kay Ivey, who was speaking to the Chamber of Commerce. We asked her thoughts on Perkins' death.
That case is being investigated by Leah, and until they finish their investigation, there's not a whole lot to say. I trust Leah, and our job is to protect law enforcement officers as well as the public safety, and we'll stay true to that mission.
Megan Plotko reporting, WAFF 48 on your side.
Lexington police officers got a 5% salary boost. The department is now fully staffed after years of vacancies, which allows officers to work less overtime. The department also added signing bonuses and cadets to ease the overworked officers. The owners of Legendary Eats are opening a new upscale bar and restaurant in the former University Cleaners Building in Lexington. Bill and Jessica Harden hope to have Harden's open by early to mid-November. Jenny Helwig is live on Jefferson Street with the story.
Longtime bartender for Taps, a popular bar and restaurant in town. He says he hopes to bring many of his famed Taps cocktails back to Harden's. Harden says he wants customers to feel like they're visiting a friend when they come to Harden's.
I wanted everyone to say, hey, we're gonna go see the Hardens, because that's basically the idea, is that either Jess or I will be there at all times.
The Hardens currently run Legendary Eats full-time. They opened the spot in 2020. But now, they will have to split their time between that daytime restaurant and Harden's. Harden says their new restaurant will serve a varied menu, including steak, burgers, salads, and pasta. It will be open until at least 11 p.m. Harden says that they hope to give students and residents another nightlife option.
We want to appeal to everybody. I think we're definitely looking toward W&L students and W&L parents, especially given that we're across the street from Washington and Lee.
Washington and Lee student Manuela Zapata says she would definitely be interested in trying out Harden's.
Since becoming 21, I feel like the options in terms of nightlife in town have been kind of limited.
Rockbridge County resident Bill Russell says he'd be happy to see another restaurant option.
There are good bars and restaurants here, but they're not a lot.
George UG closed the Southern Inn this summer after operating it for 25 years. The popular bar and restaurant was a staple in the Lexington community. Harden says that he doesn't think Harden's will fill the void that Southern Inn left, but it will emulate some of its aspects.
And we will have a really large bar, seating about 14, plus a little bit of standing room on the bar as well, which will hopefully kind of add to the communal aspect that the bar provides or used to provide at Southern Inn.
Construction is still underway at Harden's. The building behind me will look quite different next month when customers come to try out the new spot. Reporting live from Lexington, I'm Jenny Helwig for the Rockbridge Report. Back to you.
Thank you, Jenny. Coming up, Caroline Shemp has the weather report, which shows more fall-like temperatures.
Later in the show, VMI's women's soccer snapped a 6-year conference losing streak in a heated rivalry game.
Right after the break, before weather, hear about Lexington's potentially growing labor shortage. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
Lexington's labor shortage is expected to get worse as new restaurants and hotels open along Route 11. Some businesses have raised wages, hired interns, and even closed as a result of the shortage. Visit the Rockbridge Report's website to see what else Southern Inn's owner and other local businesses have to say. I'm hoping for better weather coming up with Parents' Weekend.
Yeah, I'm ready for things to start getting a little chillier. I don't know about y'all. Caroline, how's it looking?
Lucky for us, it's going to be a great weekend with chillier weather. Let's take a look at that forecast now. You are looking at a picture of downtown Lexington, which is currently sunny and warm. Let's take a look at those current conditions. We have a high of 73, a low of 57. The barometric pressure is 30 and 1500th inches. Wind speed is 7 miles per hour, and we're at a comfortable 52% humidity. Nothing on the radar. We will be staying dry this weekend. So let's head into our regional forecast. Stanton is 70 degrees, Lexington 74, Buena Vista at a 72, Lynchburg the same, 72, Charlottesville a little warmer at 77. Heading into Covington, the lowest at 60 degrees, and Roanoke at 73. Looking at our 5-day forecast, Friday is a high of 77, a low of 52. Saturday, we're at 65, a low of 38. Sunday, we get to 60, high of 60 and a low of 38. Heading into our week, we're at a high of 64 and low of 40 on Monday. And for Tuesday, we're at a high of 68 and 39. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Let's head it back to Erica.
Thank you, Caroline. Closing out our show, you still have a chance at a $1 billion Powerball jackpot, but the odds are still slim.
And right after the break, sports reporter Steph Chigalori lets you hear from VMI's women's soccer team after their comeback win. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
Pretty big weekend for some sports in Lexington. A lot of buzz around campus.
Really? I didn't get a chance to go into the games. Alina, how was it?
Thanks, Erica and John B. Big weekend for both Washington and Lee and VMI. VMI's soccer programs are having big breakthroughs this season. Weeks after the men's team scored its first D1 win since 2014, the women's squad earned its first conference win in nearly 6 years. Steph Chigalori has more on the cadets' nail-biting victory over Citadel this past Sunday.
These past 4 years have been really tough, especially in conference play, and it really means a lot to get this win, especially against our rival.
The Keydets' win against Citadel on Sunday was the first conference win for the Virginia Military Institute's women's soccer team since 2017. The team rallied a 3-goal comeback in the second half for the upset.
Sedona Dansu, Riley Boucher are some of our key offensive players in this team. They really deserved it. They've been working so hard to get one in the back of the net, and it finally paid off.
Boucher scored the 2 goals that ultimately tied and won the game. She says a halftime speech from assistant coach Abby Erlmeyer got the team excited to finish strong after being down 2-0 at the half.
She really kind of motivated us to get our heads back in the game, we got this, it's not over. So we all worked together as a team, I think, and we just put great passes together, and honestly, that's how we came out with the win.
Dansu was the first to score for the Keydets, and her goal set the pace for the rest of the game.
We really needed the goal in the first 5 minutes in order to really start it up, so I was grateful and blessed enough to be the person that had scored that, but it was all because of the talent behind me that allowed that to happen.
Head coach Chris Hott Thompson says his team has had some good games throughout the year, but have just let some goals slip by. The win on Sunday put the team's record at 2-11. With just a few more regular season games and the Southern Conference tournament ahead, the Keydets look for some more upsets. The team hopes to continue their momentum from this win into the rest of the season, including tonight's conference matchup against Mercer. From the newsroom, I'm Steph Chigalori with the Rockbridge Report.
WNL's women's soccer team was also successful, dominating EMU 8-0 yesterday. Our Mackenzie Kane spoke with senior captain Emma Mansfield about the support her team received during its Bleed Blue game on Sunday versus Christopher Newport.
How have you noticed the support that your team receives change over the years, over your four years here as a senior?
Honestly, it's been great to see. We had 2 alumni come out today, Grace and Sophia. They graduated last year. We had a ton of fans in the stands. parents, family, friends, everyone was here, the whole football team on the other side. It was great to see the community kind of coming together for us. It's definitely increased over the years, so it's positive to see.
The Blue and White are unbeaten in their first 10 games of the season and look to continue their streak on Sunday when they host ODAC rival Lynchburg. W&L's men's soccer earned a win on the road last night, taking down Hampton-Sydney 2-1. The 3-1 football team will host ODAC rival Guilford on Saturday at 4. VMI's men's soccer lost to Longwood on Tuesday, falling to 3-8 on the season. The football team has a bye this week and picks back up on Saturday when they travel to Citadel. The Rockbridge County varsity volleyball team dominated Broadway High on Thursday to remain a perfect 14-0 this season. The varsity football team fell to East Rockingham last week and will host Harrisonburg this Friday in search of their first win this school year. Back to you, Erica.
Thanks, Selena. And for all you Powerball players out there, the jackpot has climbed to its third highest payout in the game's history. The Powerball jackpot is now $1.4 billion after no one matched all numbers in Wednesday night's drawing. Last night's winner would have earned $1.2 billion. Players next have a shot at the Powerball jackpot Saturday night in hopes of ending an 11-week stretch with no big winner. As the prize continues to grow, the odds stay the same, and they aren't very favorable. Players have a 1 in 292.2 million chance of winning the Powerball.
That's all for the Rockbridge Report. Thank you for watching.
Join us again next Tuesday at 3:30 on Channel 18 for a live update, or anytime at rockbridgereportwlu.edu for the latest on local and regional news.